What is the first thing that pops into our head when someone says Singapore? A garden city? A business hub? Maybe paradise for foodies? A bustling seaport? Or simply just home? But behind all this, is there something we're missing? They are the invisible generation. Worldwide, they are a rising demographic, and in Singapore, this is no exception. Those aged 65 and above are projected to make up 54% of the local community in the year 2050. They are our elderly, retired, mostly homebound, and likely more susceptible to mental illness, disability, failing health, and most commonly, social isolation. For the longest time, this was their normal as they bided their twilight years. Then, 2020 hit.
We will therefore impose significantly stricter measures. This is like a circuit breaker.
Singapore went into a lockdown and created an even greater strain on the emotional and mental well-being of our seniors, more than ever before.
Safe distancing is also hard for a psychological and emotional reason. It goes very much against our human instincts. It is in our nature to take comfort in the warmth and company of friends and family.
The silver generation will hit the hardest, not just physically but emotionally as well, with 1 in 5 displaying symptoms of depression.
Yeah lah, we miss friend. All the friends also call, in the phone we talk. Say, I miss you. I say, yeah, I miss you. We cannot go everywhere, so.
Lily too is already in her 80s and is just one of the many thousands who face struggles during the circuit breaker period. Not being able to meet her friends or see her grandchildren made it doubly hard.
Vintage Radio SG.
But unknown to her, a group of 3 were working furiously behind the scenes, creating a platform for the elderly to ease their loneliness.
Vintage Radio started during the circuit breaker. We actually noticed that a lot of seniors were very divorced from the outside world and couldn't get in touch with their families. And we realized as well that they didn't have anything for their mental wellness because there wasn't a radio station for them to play their favorite songs from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
It was a time where, like what Mark said, during the circuit breaker, where a lot of the seniors were marginalized. You can't even go out to buy food and eat there. This opportunity came, and if it's something for them, a channel for them to receive news, to be entertained in a safe environment, and at the same time, putting them on the digital path.
And so, the birth of Vintage Radio came about in this pandemic. Out of a charitable heart, these 3 media veterans used their expertise to spotlight the struggles of our silver generation. However, during the enforced lockdown, financial difficulties did not spare our 3 founders.
I think it came to a point where we were going like, how are we going to fund this? No money, no honey.
I think we also had kind of some stroke of luck when we had community partners that really believed in us. Our 4 DJs are Brian Richmond, Guo Xianhua, PN Bala, and of course, last but not least, our beautiful Rahima Rahim.
The DJs did realize that it was a charitable cause. They believed in it, and in fact, they were willing to do it free of charge.
So as a result of the support of those around them, they persevered to form the only local radio platform just for seniors. Research has proven the benefits of music, with the ability to lift seniors out of physical and mental stress, playing nostalgic music that radio stations no longer play, spreading vigilance against the pandemic. Vintage Radio was the silver generation's comforting voice through the skies in the midst of a dark, uncertain period.
Welcome back onto Vintage Radio. Thank you for joining us. This weekend, it's Weekend Warrior time again. And, we've got a very interesting pairing here today. It is Benny and his mum.
Being the youngest child, Benny always had a special bond with his mother, Lily.
At the time, I think because my sisters were already older, so they were already doing they have their own friends and their life. I was still in primary school, so we spent a lot of time together.
You spent a lot of time with me.
Filial to the core, Benny yearned to appreciate her with a gesture, but was faced with the island-wide quarantine.
The biggest concern during the circuit breaker was her health, that she remained healthy. I was more concerned about if something were to happen because there have been friends who got sicker and then they had to be hospitalized.
After the circuit breaker, a timely opportunity for a son to show his love presented itself, and Benny, with Lily, graced an hour on a vintage radio segment called Weekend Warriors.
But it was a very nice experience. It's something that I haven't been able to share a lot with her as I got married and have kids of my own and started a family. So this is something that was just me and my mom, and that made me happy.
Vintage Radio reached out to many people, not just Benny and Lily. Many heartwarming stories came out from the impact of the radio station, like that of Mr. C's.
When we started Music and Me, which was a segment for palliative care patients, we targeted people who had very few moments left in their lives, challenging mortality, and we thought, tell your story through music, your 10 favorite songs of all time, and with each song, tell us the memory that goes along with it. Mr. C was the first to come on. It was introduced by Assisi Home and Hospice. And when they called me, they said, I have a gentleman. We do have to do the recording straight away because he's only got about a month or maybe less left to live. Within a couple of days, I got Aloysius down to go visit Mr. C. And when we first met him, he was disturbing his wife. Couldn't tell that this person only had a few weeks left to live. But you could see that he wasn't well because he had trouble breathing and he needed the help of an oxygen tank.
If you find that I'm stammering a little or breathing heavily a little, it's because I have less than 10% oxygen each time I breathe. That's why I need what they call a nasal cannula to feed oxygen into me 24 hours a day.
So the next day was a recording. He got up bright and early according to the caregiver. He dressed up for the occasion. The interview started and my God, he was in such good form, right?
Top form.
Yeah.
So I've got two kids, a boy and a girl. My granddaughter especially, she's so close that every morning without fail, she'll send an app. Good morning, Kong Kong, I love you. And hearts all over.
And after everything was over, he called me in and I said, Mr. C, that was really good, thanks for inspiring me. And he says, young man, since I found out I only had a few months to live, I was very depressed. But today you gave me the happiest occasion since I found out about my sickness. So thank you so very much. So we left happy. We gave him a certificate of which he went around the whole hospital showing off. We were supposed to broadcast his program on a Monday and supposed to roll it out alongside Assisi Home and Hospice, but we wanted more people to hear his story, so we decided to push it to a Friday. Thursday morning, I had a text from his daughter and said my dad has passed away. And I texted the guy straight away and I said, look, rush it out and, give the show to the daughter, right? And they could tell from the text as well, but I couldn't forgive myself for it.
For me, it was more like into the mode of, okay, how do we get the program to the daughter and the family? What else can we do? What else can we do for the family?
It really hits home that life is fragile. You really want to treasure your loved ones and all.
Don't mourn my death, celebrate my life.
The hope is for our younger generation, right, to make use of this app as an opportunity for you to have that connection with your grandparents, right? Help them get connected. Help them get connected back to their memories and what is important to them.
What is the first thing that pops into your head when someone mentions our aging population? Do we see them as useless to society, a burden on our families? Or will we have a desire to connect with them like the way Benny did with his mother? Or even a want to celebrate them like the way Vintage Radio did? In the end, it only takes a small gesture from us, children and grandchildren, to bring in light and cast visibility on our invisible generation.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older.
When you are young, I look after.
Yeah.
Now I old, you have to look after me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love you, Mom.